Why, hello there, everybody, and we are back once and again of right now here on Total Drama World Tour Simulator. And also, last time was that we were in Ohio, that our final 9 people had to do was do the go karts challenge. And then for the last one, of course, was the laser tag challenge, and Courtney was the winner in the go karts challenge that she did so dang well to pass it to the finish line. And it was well done. And then, well, let's just say that Alejandro and Josh and then Gothlistic Girl apparently were the only ones who won the last challenge. And of course, that, well, since there were two people, or maybe 3 people, I had to decide it was change something a little different this time. Was that, of course, there has to be 2 people this time, which apparently it still will happen in the finals. So, again, apologies is apologies. Now, before I say anything else, is that we're going to continue right on the road. And of course, Josh and Alejandro will be the only ones who are in the first class. And then I decided to have Gothlistic Girl move next to Sally in the Chris McLean movie theater set. And of course, apparently, I had Tread to get to the back of the plane with Duncan and Courtney. Which, by the way, would not be a good lucky day for Trent, so guess you'll have to need it. And also, for however, that Courtney was the only one who sent Sadie and Katie home packing right on out of the finals. It looks like it's time for our final 7 contestants to battle on for another cold challenge that could be for today by yours truly, me. And here we go, and right now on Total Drama World Tour Simulator and find out for seeing who will win. And that is going to be very dang interesting. So, anyways, it is time we get back to the show and definitely get straight to it. With that being said, Chris McLean speaking, and let's begin right here and right now and see what we're going to do for most of the challenges. So, anyway, let's continue on the road. Anyway, meanwhile, with Alejandro and Josh in first class, well, Alejandro was asking Josh a very interesting question by saying, "It's like, who are you going to get rid of? Who are we going to get rid of next?" And it looks like Josh, on the other hand, was thinking about getting rid of Trent or Goth Listening Girl to be voted off. And man, that is some evil going on in the first class. Very evil. Which I'm not trying to sound like the devil or anything, but it just seems a little bit close for me to think it was a little funny. But anyway, looks like Alejandro, on the other hand, was making a few bit of some sense from Josh to help on to see how that will help to see who might get eliminated. But unfortunately, we're going to see where this goes. And as for Alejandro, man, he sure does pretty miss Heather for some reason. Man, it's going to be a long time for him to still be in the finals, though. And as for Josh, on the other hand, looks like he was going to pretty much consider having Duncan still voted off, but for the only option right now, he's only keeping him before he'll do so. The only thing he'll try to get rid of would either be Trent, Goth Girl, or Sally that would still be left in the game. But very interesting point in question. In fact, it looks like Alejandro was pretty much agreeing with him, as for far as enough is to say, so pretty much. And then that's pretty much what he also said right there before they were actually talking about Ohio. And they were ranking about what place of Ohio that they liked anyways. Looks like Alejandro and Josh both considered a 7 and an 8 pretty much of 10, which they probably consider counting that number. So, anyways, meanwhile, in the Chris McLean movie theater set, with, of course, his Gothlistic Girl in Sally. Looks like, as in for that, Gothlistic Girl was pretty much wondering about back home to know about pretty much like we consider what Gothlistic Girl would want to consider being with. And then as in for Sally, well, she was considering answering her question to Gothlistic Girl. And Gothlistic Girl had pretty much an interesting person in her head that she was thinking about was Goth Boy. And oh man, she has something for Goth Boy. That is interesting. And it looks like for Sally, she was pretty much thinking about how that was going to happen and see how Gothlistic Girl will win the money while pretty much spending the money with Goth Boy. That would be an interesting point encounter to see how that will play out. But, interesting. And of course, Sally, on the other hand, was actually thinking it was a bit impressive a little bit, while pretty much as in for Gothlistic Girl, was thinking about somebody back at home that was known to be, of course, was Goth Boy. But anyway, speaking about that now, let's continue on the road. And then so far, meanwhile, in the back of the plane with Trent, Courtney, and Duncan. Let's see what that has to gone for. Bro, just shut up, Trent. You were the one who did that, not me, you loser. Nah, says the guy who loves the word number 5 so much. Oh, boo hoo hoo, Trent. If you highly bring that up, then I don't know how you'll be able to to be saved for this one, man. And it looks like so far, Trent and Duncan were having a bit of an argument until Courtney had another idea that she was pretty much agreeing to side with Duncan exactly without actually having Trent eliminated in that early amount of the finals. That's what I thought. Now, I want you to listen. Is that I think you should vote off for Alejandro because he's the only threat because he won't be stopped in order that things are going down. Is that would it come down to is you or Goblista Girl or Alejandro to be voted off? And so far as in for Duncan, he is considered to convince Trent to vote for either which ones that will be a threat. That of course that he, on the other hand, was going to decide to honestly vote for Alejandro. But we're going to find out. Bruh, him and Josh are unstoppable to vote off each time. And then for Trent, he was already thinking as well about that idea. And then of course, well as in for Courtney, she responded to Duncan by saying like, who would you vote off for? Vote off for Duncan, and then as in for Duncan, he already said was this. I think it would be Alejandro, if not whispers to Courtney anyway, or it will be Trent. Who knows? And then as in for Courtney, she was already understanding from what he was saying. All right, everybody, can I have your attention, please? So, we're about to make an interesting pit stop that we're going to be heading to is Canada. That's right, so meet me and Chef at the cargo hold. All right, everybody, so welcome back. And this time, as in for everyone, that we'll be doing is something as a cold challenge for something like downhill. And oh, yes, you'll scream all the way down to the bottom of the finish line. And where did we land it to is Canada in Switzerland. That is to be the Olympics. And what this challenge is about, that each of you will get the minutes and seconds or even hours to race down. And yes, it's an easy track, only in downhill. And once you do get to the finish line, it means that you're safe for first place. And whoever does end up in last place or any other places are out of the challenge and will stay in the game for the next part. For the next part, well, part that one person will end up being done and gone in the finals. You got it? And everybody was nodding their heads saying yes. And before we do that, anybody ask me, is where is Chris right now? Well, as in for that right now, that Chris won't probably be around in this challenge. Let's just say that he wants to spend his own time at his own headquarters, while I, on the other hand, will be keeping the maintaining of the show running anyways. While for him, he's having enjoyment for him in the bathtub or should I say the hot tub in his headquarters, to probably be alone, I guess. That's just his hot tub. Trust me. Don't ask why. And he will show up soon when the finals, when the votes will happen. Thank you. And for now, is that we will start with is Sally and Josh and Gothlistic Girl and Courtney and Trent and Alejandro and then the last Duncan. Anyway, so now then let's jump to it and right on with it. So anyways, hopefully we're gonna find out and see who wins this challenge. And remember everybody that this is gonna be the one challenge. And whoever does win this challenge will have invincibility and will also get to take one person into first class. You got it? And also, before anybody will ask me about the next episode by saying it's like, about with like the Chris McClain movie theater set. Let's just say it's going to be occupied, where it's just going to be me or Chef going to be watching movies in our free time without driving the plane because somebody else of the interns will be flying the plane. So yes, it's going to be occupied nearing the final five. So remember, for those who want to use it quickly, then be sure to use it while you still can for the Chris McClain movie theater set. Because at this point, a few of the people will decide to be in first class or in the back of the plane. That's pretty much how the choice remains to be the choice. But for now, let's see who will win this challenge. Anyway, so, that being said, Chef Hatchet here, and we'll be seeing you soon enough, right after the break and right after these messages, here on Total Drama World Tour Simulator.